Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ice Cold Takes podcast. I'm your host, Joey DeMaglio. We are back. Finally, Ice Cold Takes has returned, and I'm joined by a new co-host, Phil Salmon. Phil, it's great to have you on the show. What's going on, man?
Pleasure to be on here. Pleasure to talk Rangers hockey. Let's get it.
How long have you been a Rangers fan for, my friend?
Wow. I started probably when I was 10 or 11. My grandfather was a Rangers fan. My dad doesn't watch hockey, but my grandfather was a big Rangers fan. And I guess my earliest memory watching him is, I have to talk about losses, but when the Rangers lost to the Devils in the conference finals, what was that, 2012?
2012.
So I was 11. Yeah.
There were a lot of tears in my house that night. Yeah,
I
that was a
can imagine. Yeah.
that was
That's
a
like
tough
my
one.
first memory.
Yeah. Yeah, something similar to me, like, it was my uncle got me into because he had the season tickets and stuff. Yeah, Phil is on here. He's a friend of one of my friends, and, he follows hockey very closely, so he's up to date on all things Rangers, knows all the reporters, knows the stats, watches pretty much all the games whenever he can. I'm just now getting time to watch stuff. Uh I have my boys, Rangers Central, Mr. D, and Matt Talks Rangers, Return of the D, my two friends from YouTube. Uh, Nice to see you guys in the chat again. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. I know I was on hiatus for quite a while. I wanted to start it when the season started back up, but I had a new job and um, it was tough to watch all the games because they would go on while I was working. So I really didn't have much to say about what was going on. But now I've had a lot more time recently to pay attention to the games and what's going on with the team. So I feel like now's a good time for me, especially like what are we at? Like 15, 7, 18 games into the season the Rangers have played. So this is like a good point to kind of review what's going on so far. And the first thing that I wanted to talk about before we really, dive into what the Rangers are doing is that I wanted to pay my respects to Larry Brooks. Brooksy from the New York Post, unfortunately, after a brief battle with cancer, he passed away this week. And I mean, it's really sad because I grew up reading all of his articles and stuff, and I grew up with the clips of him going back and forth with John Tortorella, and those always gave me great entertainment, a good laugh, and I'm sure it's not gonna change now that he's gone. I'm still gonna remember those feuds, even though they reconciled. Brooksy was a damn good journalist. I have to admit. Every from what everyone was saying. And it was nice to see the entire like hockey world kind of come together and pay their respects to him collectively. The entire league did so. And that was just awesome to see. What were your thoughts on that, Phil? I know you texted me the other day, kind of shocked.
Yeah, I guess I knew he wasn't reporting. I didn't know the seriousness behind it. I didn't know he was diagnosed with cancer. I didn't know that part of it. So it came out of the blue for me when I woke up and I saw that on my phone. But I just remember growing up, especially during the playoff series, the write-ups, the previews, the predictions. I thought they were gospel. Like if he said the Rangers were going to win in five, if betting was legal then, probably would have put money on it. Like whatever. I remember reading his stories and his previews, his matchups, and his X factors on the post, and thinking, if this doesn't happen, I'd be surprised. The guy was spot on. From all accounts, I'm not ringside, I'm not a reporter, but well respected, did not give up, worked like an absolute dog, which no matter what profession you're in, you can respect that. And like you said, his infamous feuds with the former Rangers coach. And I thought it was really cool to see Tortorella on ESPN, paid tribute to him, and he even said that he called, in his final days. I don't know if he spoke to him, but he said he got to speak to his son. I thought that was really cool. Sports are great, but once it's larger than life. It's a uniting factor, and I thought that was really cool to see that he gave him a call.
Yeah, that was awesome. I love that segment. I watched the whole thing. Tortorella was really honest too. Like he didn't hold back. He was telling people like, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. We butted heads. We didn't agree on everything. We probably didn't agree on most things, but at the end of the day, he would show up to the rink and ask questions and stuff. He did what he was supposed to do, and he was the best at it. Now I just hope more journalists can follow in his footsteps because he was the best. I just remember reading some of his articles, aside from like the ones that you mentioned about like the X factors and the playoff write ups and stuff like that. I just remember like the trade rumors and stuff like that, like the trade proposals he would come up with, whether it was for like Josh Anderson or if it was for Brady Kachuk or back in the day. He proposed this. This one was wild. I remember this one. It was like a package deal of like Rick Nash to St. Louis for like a first round pick, Oshie, and then like another player. I remember like reacting to that, being so infuriated, be like, what is this guy talking about and stuff like that. But the whole point of it is he got a reaction out of you, right? And that was what that's what remains from him. Like that's what I think about when I think of Larry Brooks is that he made you feel things, made you feel like angry or sad or upset or yes, Rangers, please do this move. This would be so awesome for the team. Like last year, you remember when they floated out the idea of Brady Kachuk coming to the Rangers? Remember that, Phil?
Vaguely, I remember. I think you were the one that you know
Yep.
showed me that train of thought, and
And
then
and
I
the
believe he got
soft
hurt soon
tampering
after.
the soft tampering of it all because the Senators were complaining like this is not true. There's no way this is true. To me, I didn't think there was an ounce of truth to it. I think he was just trying to stir the pot a little bit. And I mean, that turns out to be what it
That's what a
is
reporter
because
does, like you said.
yeah, yeah, he really was the best at what he did. Like even as he got older, I came to appreciate him. Um, I mean, like before I didn't like the media side of it, and then once I went to college for it, then I really understood what the media side kind of goes through. So yeah, I understand it. Um, but to sort of transition into what's going on with Ice Cold Takes. I wanted to let everyone know that yes, we are back. We're going to try and record every Saturday, post an episode, at least just one episode every week. We're going to post it on Saturdays, just like we normally do on Spotify. But instead of recording the YouTube version on Thursday, we'll try to get it done on Saturdays, Saturday in the afternoon. Um, I've been to give a life update. I've been applying for jobs. I'm looking for another new job. Um, so we'll see what happens with in that department, but I should be able to keep up with the Rangers and stuff. And I think in coming episodes, I want to talk more about other New York sports. So Phil is also a Mets fan, and we could talk a
Unfortunately,
lot about baseball, right? So that's something that we could incorporate into the show to keep everyone updated. Maybe a little bit of football. Phil, are you a Giants or a Jets fan?
by by familial connection, a Jets fan, but it's unlike other sports. I can also root for the Giants. It's not as life or death. You can never
Okay,
catch me rooting for the Yankees,
all
but the
right, all
Giants,
right.
fine.
Okay, so he's a Giants and a Jets fan, so he's a fraud. Okay, so I need a new co-host is
Pretty
basically
much.
what I'm saying. Yeah. Um,
Take
both teams
applications when you can.
yeah, yeah, submit your resume on x.com. DM me. Uh, I'm kidding, obviously, but, yeah, the Giants and the Jets suck, but that's something to look forward to if you're a fan of the show. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Give us a follow. Follow us on all of our socials, TikTok, Instagram, of course, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, all that good stuff. But to transition now back to the Rangers, 18 games into the season, overall, Phil, what do you think about the team?
Streaky. I mean, record wise, at the end of the 18 games, kind of probably where you thought they would have been if you started the season off, roughly 500 in the middle of the pack. That's kind of what everybody thought. But there were opportunities to be better than that, based on the fact that the league is kind of scrunched up standing wise. There's been opportunities where that you could have looked at it, and the Rangers probably could have had a few more wins, and we'd be saying, "Wow, this team was impressive." But overall, record wise, they've been about what we expected. But it's come in spurts. I think people listening and yourself, the elephant in the room with a certain issue at home. that the Rangers have had. We can't put the puck in the net. Let a few games slide that maybe they could have won, but all in all, they're in the thick of it. And as a fan, all you could hope for is an opportunity. Only in 18 games, they look like they're finally rounding into form. Let's see if they can carry this momentum forward and make a little bit of a push. I think that would excite everybody, considering expectations for this year weren't where they had been. There's plenty of room to pleasantly surprise us, and they're on their way.
To put into perspective how close the standings are, let's take a look at the Eastern Conference. So the Devils are in first place with 25 points, right? The Washington Capitals are second to last in the East. They have 17 points. So first and second last in the East is separated by only 8 points. That's nuts. That's crazy. So the Rangers are outside of a wild card spot by 1 point. The Red Wings and the Flyers have a game in hand on them. The Rangers are out by 5 points from first place in the East. That's nuts, right? The Avalanche are leading the league with 29 points. They're having a great season. Utah Mammoth, they look really good. Anaheim Ducks, man, the Anaheim Rangers, man, they're
Don't mention it. Don't mention it.
Kreider is killing it. My boy Kreider. Montreal fans are still upset. I know that for a fact. But I got to say, Montreal, they're coming up. They're going to be dangerous. They're going to be a dangerous team. They have so much talent on that squad. Like when the Rangers pulled out a victory there, I was very happy. It was a come from behind victory when they were on the road. The Rangers, when you look at their team on paper, I do not have high expectations for them. I love the move for Gavrikov. I know that they had to trade for Kreider. They had to trade Kreider, right? Just on paper, I don't think the Rangers have enough firepower to be a true cup contender. They're out of that question, that's for sure. But maybe they're in the category of pretender/contender this year. And I mean, as far as entertainment value, that's better than last season because I don't want to watch what happened last season again. I don't want that to happen. Um, I like how they responded on the road in a lot of their games. That Edmonton game, for example, they were down 2 goals. They came into the third period, and they really took control of that game, forced overtime, and then JT Miller won it. That was an amazing victory there. I think they were down 2 goals in that one. I was watching that game, but they had to rally to come back to get in there. Yes, they were down. They were down 3-1. Schneider and Taylor Radish scored in that period. So that was helpful. The Rangers analytically have not been awful, and that's a first. That's a first. Like defensively, they've improved a lot. Sure, are they where we would hope they would be? Like as a cup contender from a couple seasons ago? No. But the improvement is there from last season. But you could also look at it as like a glass half empty kind of perspective. But you know that I'm an optimist on this show. Phil, you'll come to know this with time. I'm known as Optimistic D. I look at things as like a glass half full rather than a half empty.
All
The
right, so I'm the
Rangers
opposite.
oh, you are the opposite. Okay, so then
Oh my God, I'm a New
this is
York
going to be
sports
good.
fan.
This is
I'm
going
about
to
as
be good.
negative as they come.
Okay. Okay. All right, so
But
then this is going to be good then. This will be good. We have a good vibe going.
we'll balance each other out for sure. I'm
Yeah.
not. Yeah, we'll see.
Oh,
I do think, as you said, the defense has been better than expected. I think that's part of the balancing act, which is they've cleaned up some of those neutral zone turnovers, those odd man rushes at the expense of pushing the envelope offensively, but they've given up less as a result as they're short up, they're structured, they're not giving up as many rushes that way. But I also think that's why they're not scoring because Panarin's not given as much leash to make a play or take a risk. In the last few games, it's starting to come back. You're starting to see him buzz a little bit, as we've mentioned, since a haircut has occurred. He's starting to fly around a little bit, but I think they got to find that balance, keeping that defensive structure and not bleeding chances and being able to push the envelope. And if they could hit that balance going forward, that's when you'll see a team. But like you said, Cup contender, no. But will you all be thrilled if they can sneak into the playoffs? I think that would be great.
They
Keep us on our toes.
they have been getting pretty unlucky, I have to say. They've had a lot of scoring scoring chances. As a team, I'm looking at Money Puck at 5-on-5. Their shooting percentage on all shot attempts is 3.96. Uh, that is towards the bottom of the league. That's 24th in the league. Like the best team is Toronto. They're 6.15. Um, the Rangers have gotten their chances for sure. Definitely. If 5-on-5 play has improved, I'll say that. I think Zibanejad looks a lot better. And I did like a couple weeks ago when one of the reporters was asking him like, "Oh, how come you didn't finish that chance that you had?" And Zibanejad got tested. He was like, "I've never seen Zibanejad get like that. Usually he's kind of um what's the word for it? Like he's reflective on stuff. Like he'll put things into perspective. But this one he was upset. He was mad. He's like, "What do you want me to do? Like I had the chance. I missed. Like it would be worse if I didn't get the chance." Like that I like from Mika for once. Like
A little fire.
compared to last season.
Yeah, a little fire. I think, as you've mentioned, last season was a train wreck. Let's call it what it was. I think a lot of reflecting happened. He's a little fired up. I think JT Miller just naturally, his personality brings a little fire and edge that maybe they were lacking. They needed to ruffle it up a little bit. He's going to hold you accountable, and I think that aggressive play will tend to help the Rangers. And you have mentioned 5-on-5 play. Last 2 years, it was terrible. I mean, especially in the
Yeah.
playoffs, if they weren't scoring on the power play, they were getting cooked. But they had an amazing power play. So the 5-on-5 play, I mean, I'm not as analytics driven and into the numbers as you are, but the numbers are, even the eye test. It tells you it's better. The ice isn't always constantly tilted, but now, as on the flip side of it, I don't know the exact numbers, but the power play better the last couple of games. That's been a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, that was yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. The power play has not been that good this season. And it's kind of a balancing act. So the power play isn't as good, but now the 5-on-5 play is good. Usually when that's not going, when the power play is not going, the Rangers just suck. And it's not like the Rangers suck right now. I mean, 9-7-2. Sure, you would like that record to be a little bit better, but that comes with being able to score goals on your own home ice. And for some reason, the Rangers just aren't able to do that. In the 7 games that they've lost on home ice, 5 of them have been shutouts. I've never seen anything like that. That's asinine. I don't understand that in any sport. How do you score no points in front of your fans? What's going on there? Like
And they've been
that
so
doesn't make
good.
any sense whatsoever.
Years past that, playing at the Garden is always such an advantage. I mean, they've usually been so good on home ice. That's what really makes, not to disparage any other home arenas, but nothing is the Garden. You go in there, it's the Mecca. The Knicks were, I think, 7-0 this year. The Garden. I'm a big St. John's fan. St. John's was 14-0 there last year. It's a hard place to come into play as an opponent, and to lose is one thing. To not score 5 times, it's mental. After the first or second game, it had to be. It's all in your head. I mean, they were feeling the pressure to get it done.
I agree. But at that point, I don't think the media and everyone thinks of the Rangers as like this cup contender anymore. I don't think there's no need to have that pressure there unless the last
There's
season is
not.
just hanging over their head.
I just think also like the competitors. Even though they're not, we don't view them. The media might not view them as cup contenders. If you're an athlete, you're a competitor, or just in life, you're going to do the best you can in everything you do. Players have the mindset still. We're going in to try and win every freaking game, and that in itself, and you just put pressure on yourself as a human being, as a competitor. Nobody's a harder critic on yourself than you. So I think it got into their heads like, we're not scoring, we're not playing well, and it just kept, after the second game, it compounded. After the third game, compounded even more. And finally, I think they hit rock bottom, even though they did score. I think the Islanders game was about as low as it can get. What was that, 6-1? But I don't recall exactly
Five
what that
nothing.
was. But five, no, they didn't score.
No, they didn't. Nope.
I think
Five
that
nothing.
was probably, yeah, it was. How did I get? Yeah, I don't know what I was looking at, but I think that maybe hit a bit of a reset, and as we've talked about, also coincided with Trocheck coming back. I think he's a big.
Mhm.
I don't want to get too off your schedule here, but I could keep going. But
No, keep going. Keep going, man.
I think Trocheck coming back, one of his unique skills that some of the Rangers don't necessarily have is forechecking and roughing it up, creating opportunities. And I think that has helped. Panarin is immensely talented, but he's been greatly aided over the last couple of years by having Trocheck get in there and go possess the puck for him. He's not necessarily going to he'll forecheck, but he's not going to hit. He's not going to rough it up as much. And I think that line being brought back together, Lafreniere, Trocheck, Panarin has. It's no coincidence that he's returned. That line's been put together, and they've been rolling. That line last couple of years has really been, especially 5-on-5, like we said. I think that's been the Rangers' best 5-on-5 by a pretty good margin, and it's happy to have him back.
Yes. And I thought you were going to mention something about Panarin shaving his head, but I agree with you. I agree with you. That's the Rangers' best line when it's going. The addition of Gabe Perreault too could be pretty good for them because it kind of helps balance out the rest of the lines. I don't think Will Cooley should be in the top 6. I think he's out of his depth by playing up there. I think he needs to be on the third line. I love him. He's not like the best he's not the best player, but he does what you need a third liner to do. And that's where he needs to be. He needs to be in a position where he could be the best version of himself. And that's on the third line. I don't need to see Connor Sheary or Taylor Radish in the top 6. Just let Lafreniere and Perreault cook up there. I don't know if
What, like,
Perreault's gonna be like this otherworldly goal scorer that we're making him out to be since he was drafted, but he certainly has the tools. He has more of the tools to be there than Connor Sheary does at this point in his career. I mean, am I wrong there, Phil?
I don't disagree. And at this point, like we've mentioned a couple times, the Rays aren't going to win a Stanley Cup this year. Why not give him a shot? Well, I mean, what is
Right.
the downside to putting him in there around highly skilled players and seeing what he can do? A knock on the Rangers, probably since before you and I were born, is they don't develop guys tremendously well. Uh, so in a season where you're not expected to win the cup, and you have this potentially transcendent offensive player out there, let's see what he's got. Put him in there. Play him. I mean, what's the worst that happens? You don't score at home? Okay, you already did that 5 times. What's the difference? I think you got to let him go. Give him ice time. It's just no downside to it. You're not. Yeah, I would love to see him play more. And I think Will Cooley, not as offensively gifted, but I think they're trying to pin him into a Chris Kreider type role, which I don't know if is necessarily his calling card. I could see it at least on the power play. Obviously, recently they put him in front of the net, and it's worked. He's I read, I don't know if it was a couple days ago, whatever, that in his minor league hockey career, he played the net front on the power play,
Mhm.
so he has that hand-eye coordination, that skill that Kreider had. I think on the power play that's great, but like you've mentioned, is he a top 6 winger 5-on-5? Long term,
No.
probably not. But on
So,
this roster,
yeah. Yeah.
for
This goes back to what I was saying about like the Rangers on paper. If you plug all the pieces in, right? Like if the Rangers are fully healthy, you plug all the pieces in. You got to compare them to the rest of the teams in the league, right? I don't see them going up against like the Colorado Avalanches of the world, like the Florida Panthers when they're healthy, kind of thing. Like on paper, they don't have enough, right? They're missing a true top 6 winger. You could argue they're missing a first line center. Like Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere would be an amazing second line on a Stanley Cup team. I feel like the Rangers are missing like either a first line or a second line, whatever you want to call it. Like if you want to classify Panarin, Trocheck, and Lafreniere as a first line, go ahead. Then they're missing a second line because Miller and Zibanejad, okay, yes, they're good, but Vegas Golden Knights, compare that. Like, they have Eichel, Thomas Hertl, right?
Yeah,
They have all these. They have.
arguably. I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
I cut you off. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, no, no. I was done.
So I think you're spot on. And arguably, even the last 3 years they've been successful. It's been the same problem. You get to the playoffs, you're putting, Barkov against Zibanejad. Who's going to have that advantage?
Like, they're,
You know,
yes, they're
the
both good
Rangers.
players, but Barkov is so, like, he's in a different tier than Zibanejad. It's just clear as day.
Yeah, and the Rangers have, for the latter part of the last 5 years, been putting Zibanejad at the one C. Okay, it's Trocheck. Either way, it's more of a 2A and 2B as opposed to a clear cut one. And they've been missing a top line right wingers for I don't know 4 years. And hit lightning in a bottle with Vetrano for 6 weeks, and
They should
then
have kept him. The Rangers should have done a lot of
like
things, Phil. Like, we this is like, this always goes back to the same talking points on this show, is that we get to a point where it's like, all right, well, things could be a lot better for the Rangers if they did this thing better. But that thing that they could have done better didn't happen because this thing happened, right? And it all just draws back to the same thing. And it's always like, all right, the Rangers would be in a better spot because if they traded for Eichel, and they couldn't trade for Eichel because they had Buchnevich, or they didn't want to get rid of Nils Lundqvist, or whatever. So, stuff like that. That's what happens, like, when you talk about the Rangers and stuff. So basically, we're in like a pretty difficult spot, but for what the Rangers are on paper, I think they're doing pretty well. I think they could sneak into the playoffs, maybe, but I don't see them going far. Maybe push it to like a game 6 or 7 in the first round, but I don't see them. I don't see the Rangers being like a cup contending team. Maybe Chris
I don't
Drury's
either.
got a crazy trade in mind that he's going to shake stuff up, but I don't see that happening either, because he kind of he kind of wasted many opportunities to trade for guys in their prime over the years.
Yeah, I'm thinking if trade deadline wise, if anything going to happen majorly, it might be the opposite. It might be guys getting shipped out if they're on the outskirts of the playoffs. I think that is, although not, Drury loves to swing for the fences. I think somebody who needs to be realistic. If they're, sitting around the eighth spot, the second wild card, and you can get A, B, and C from Carolina for Panarin, okay. But either way, if you would have told me, start of October, the Rangers would be sitting here at 9-7-2, I'd be pretty happy. I mean, knowing what's gone on to get to that point, it's almost disappointing because of the issues we've talked about. The opportunity to be, 3 or 4 wins better has clearly been there, and they could have taken advantage of it. But overall, they've gotten to kind of where we expect them to be, a 500 team battling towards the back end of the playoffs, and probably where we expect them to stay the rest of the year. And you know, as long as they're playing for something and we have a reason to watch, what more could you ask for?
Like, yeah, the reason having a reason to watch is a big thing for me, because last year it was so depressing to watch the team. Like, you could tell they just gave up. They didn't have it within them that last year. They didn't have it. They didn't have the goods to go far as a team. Um, but like this year, a lot of stuff's gonna have to go right for them to be a cup contender. Like, they have to maintain this level of 5-on-5 play. Shesterkin's got to stay like strong in the net, and they got to finish their chances, right? And everybody's got to stay healthy. That's a lot to go that needs to go right. And we're only like 2 months into the season, like a quarter of the way through, right? So it's really difficult to see that happening. Like, I can see the Rangers maybe being on the outskirts, like right in playoff range at the trade deadline. But that brings me to my ice cold take segment. So, oh wait, I have a bunch of comments in here. Show, I don't know why this wasn't updating me. I'm sorry, guys. JT Miller not looking great, probably hurt, but they need him to be at 100% with how our mediocre roster is. Yes, exactly. Uh, Ever since Booch left, they haven't had a top line right winger. Uh, I'd rather just suck and get a top pick. This is hell. Yeah. again, cyclical. We keep going over the same stuff with the Rangers. It's like, all right, let's tank, get the high draft pick. We get the high draft pick. All right, awesome. Draft Gavin McKenna. Now, how can we screw this up? How can we screw this up?
How
Let's
can we
put him on the fourth
screw you?
line. Let's put him on the third line. He needs to develop hockey sense. He needs to be a smart two-way player. Let's do that.
Sound familiar with somebody now? I don't know.
Oh my god. This is
Let's let
what
him hit the weight
like
room.
this is what it's like being a Rangers fan. Like, it's just the same stuff over and over again, like repeating the process. The Rangers are notorious for getting the guy that's just a little bit too late. Like, JT Miller could be that example. I loved him last season. I think he's a phenomenal player, but is he over the hill? I don't know.
What
He's
is he,
kind of starting to
31, 32?
he's starting to show signs of it. I don't know. You might disagree with me on that, Phil, but I
I
I
don't think
mean,
he's been
I
great.
go ahead.
He's 32. Like that comments. I don't know. He has not been great, but I think he's, like you had a great point. He's been pushed into a top line role, which maybe is not. He'd be maybe an excellent second liner, but the position they put him in to ask him to score, they're putting him in a spot to try and be one of their leading goal scorers. He's got great talent, but he's had that success playing with other. I mean, I know he had a rift at his previous stop with the other. What was it?
Elias Pettersson
Pedersen.
with the
Yeah,
Canucks. Yeah.
but I think he's also a little out of. He's not really a top line bona fide player, and that's the expectations that's been put on him. So no matter what he does, he won't meet that. But I've always kind of liked him because he's not afraid to rough it up. You want to throw a punch, he'll gladly throw a punch. He's a little bit of a rough around the edges guy, which I like.
Yes. I think he was a solid choice for captain too. As much as I thought Trocheck could have been a good captain, I think JT Miller was a fine choice, and they needed that. They needed a captain. They couldn't go another season captainless because that's just been the thing for for many of the past few years. Is that the Rangers go without a captain because they don't feel that they have the leadership in the room. They don't have a clear cut. This is our guy that's gonna stand up in the dressing room and lead us to victory and give us a motivational speech, stuff like that, like drag us into battle. That's JT Miller, though. I wanted to kind of close out the show. Artemi Panarin, right? Since he shaved his head 4 games ago, in those 4 games, he's got 9 points. Before that, he was on like such a crazy scoring drought. I'm gonna pull up the stats really quickly, but we were saying that it has a lot to do with Trocheck coming back, but even before that, Panarin had a good game against the Red Wings. So let's pull up his game logs here. Before this 4 game stretch, he went 6 games without a point. 6 games, right? Nuts. And then he shaves his head, and he's got 9 points in those 4 games. And one of those games, it's basically 3 games because the one game against the Islanders, they got shut out. So Panarin's insane, and this comes in the midst of all this trade talk because he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. He's 34. So that leads me into my Ice Cold Take segment. We are back with the Ice Cold Take segment, boys and girls. An accurate statement backed by facts and observations that is solid in nature, similar to a block of ice, i.e., a spot-on claim. So today's Ice Cold Take is, should the Rangers trade Panarin by the trade deadline? What do you think, Phil?
What I think, yes, I probably would. Sports is all about one thing, and that's winning the ultimate prize. Excuse me. The Rangers, like as we have mentioned repeatedly today, they're not going to do that this year. How could we accelerate doing that in the next, 3 to 5 years? Probably not giving a 33-year-old Artemi Panarin $14 million for the next couple of years. Although that's what the Rangers always do, is sign the big name for a lot of money. I think trading him, and especially if he's playing well and his value is high, bring in what you can. And, I think it's time this core gets a little. It's not going to do it. It's not going to win the cup. So what are we holding on for? To be, an 8th seed for the next 3 years? Like the Island, similar to the Islanders a couple years ago, back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals, weren't really going to win the cup, and they held on to that core for now, kind of still hanging on to it for what? To try and sneak into the playoffs every year. That's not the goal. The goal is not to be an 8th seed and get swept in the first round. It's to win a Stanley Cup, and I would like the Rangers to do that before I die. And I think one of the trading in while assets are hot and building up a farm system. I think the Rangers are at the point where they need to turn the page, and he could probably bring back the biggest haul. So yes, if he's playing well, strike while the iron's hot. And just as an aside note, if he loves being in New York, who's to say it can't be an Aroldis Chapman move for the Yankees? And he, get prospects for him, and then come July he'll be back. But I would move him. Yeah.
They think you're cooking in the chat. That's good. Good
I can't
stuff
see
there,
it.
Phil. Philip is cooking. I agree with you. I think strike while the iron is hot. That's the ice cold take right there. My follow-up question here is, since it seems like we kind of agree, at what point would you trade him? Like, how long do you hold on to him? Is this something like, should we trade him right this second, or should we wait a little bit? Like, because if you trade him right now, I don't know how much other teams are gonna value. Remember, the salary cap has the accrual process, so I'm not sure. We don't have cap friendly anymore, and I don't feel like checking Puckpedia right now. Maybe some
I would
teams are
hold.
kind of close to the cap right now, so I'm not sure if it's feasible for them to make that trade.
I would wait. First, it's like you said, it's only 18 games. A window. Obviously, it's always been rumored that if they were trading, Carolina would be interested. I think as the season progresses, more teams will know what they need, and his market might take better shape. And if he continues playing as well as he's been playing, his stock might go up a little bit, and you might get a better. If somebody becomes more desperate for him, as they realize they're missing a goal scorer after 50 games or something like that, his value could go up a little bit. They'll have a clearer window of the market, and I do think he'll help other players on the roster get a little bit better. Perot can benefit from playing with him, or at least practicing with him and going. I think there is a benefit to his expertise, and I mean he's a fantastic player. Lafreniere obviously had a career season playing next to him. I think he could help other players develop. I would hold on to him for those reasons. Let other players still learn from him, develop with him, and see what a professional goal scorer and offensive driver looks like. But then come February, the price is right. He's playing well. His market's shaping up. Rip it. Go ahead and. Does he still have a no trade clause or
That's
partial?
That's a good question. I believe so, but let me double check. I will check Puckpedia for that right now. I miss cap friendly so much, but I think Puckpedia is fine. He has a no movement clause, yes, but
So yeah,
I don't think that'll be much of an issue, because he's gonna be leaving. He'll probably be leaving at the end of the season anyways, because they can't come to an agreement on an extension right now, right? So he probably already sees the writing on the wall. So I don't think it would be that much of an issue for him to waive that no movement clause. So yeah, I agree with you. I think they should hold on to him for at least a little bit, at least until like January, and then see where the Rangers are. If the Rangers are like well out of playoff contention, I would just rip it in January, to be honest with you. That way, let's say something happens like by the Olympics, you already have your return for him. Kind of like, I think the Islanders made the trade for Bo Horvat in January of the year they traded for him. I don't think it was like right at the deadline, so something similar to that. If I'm correct in that, I think I'm pretty certain, I'm pretty positive that trade happened in like January or early. Yeah, it was January 2023. All right, and that was like the deal. As soon as almost like a sign and trade, because the Islanders like, locked that guy up as soon as they got him. So same deal. the Canucks couldn't come to an agreement on an extension, and they just ripped the trade in January and didn't bother waiting a little bit longer. So I would see how it is in like January, mid-January, mid to late January, and then if they're close, maybe you hold on to him. If for some reason Chris Drury thinks that the Rangers could still win a cup by being like a couple points out of a playoff spot, I guess you could do that. But if you're out of the playoffs by the trade deadline, you better be off the team because you need to recoup some assets. And in terms of assets, what would you be looking for, Phil? What entices you?
Generally, I like. I'm probably in the minority. I don't really love. I like players over picks, young players. I think seeing what you have is better. A pick is not a player. With a player, you know what you have. Um, I think the Rangers have struggled developing picks. I mean, they struggled developing players too. So it's really 6-1, half dozen another. But I think, if especially with Sullivan now, who is a great coach, who hopefully will be here for quite some time, if you could find some prospects that he likes that could fit his system, that could play the style of hockey he wants to play, I'd love some young pieces that can get in here and learn. Picks will produce the same type of thing. You could let him go use a draft pick and pick players, him or Drury, that'll fit his system. But I guess either one of them would be acceptable. But I've always liked to see names and players over picks, unless a first round pick would be exceptional. But I like to see young players. That's my, I guess that's the baseball in me. I like to see a prospect haul, but anything that they can develop and mold into their own hockey team in a way that will give us a cup. When I'm in my before I turn 70 would be nice.
The Rangers, I mean, out of the three, if you were to rank them like first round picks, roster players, and prospects, I think prospects they usually do a pretty good job with, like because they've already been developed under that previous system, their former team. It's got to be like the right prospect, not a prospect that was just drafted, like someone that's been in their system for like 2-3 years, right? So
On the verge
Scott
of an
Morrow,
NHL
for
roster.
example, I love that trade. I thought that was great that the Rangers were able to get a first and Scott Morrow out of the K'Andre Miller trade. Like that's what I would want. Obviously, a first round pick is juicy, right? I believe this draft class is stacked. Um, so that anything in the first round here would be great. So I would prioritize prospects to be honest. Like prospects by like terms of NHL readiness. So someone that's like been in the system like 2-3 years, not someone that was drafted like a year or two ago, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. On the verge of an NHL roster, a little bit of tinkering, a little bit of. I could agree. And I would probably do that. Number one, draft picks two, and roster players a distant third.
Yeah. Like a roster player, I'm not looking for like a third line player, like a tweener guy, like a Parsonen. I don't want that. I want someone that can play, like a top six guy,
You're
like a
catching
replacement for
strays out here.
Panarin, like a wish.com Panarin, like if possible. if you're gonna give me a roster player. Otherwise, just give me someone that was drafted that you thought highly of that maybe needs a change of scenery, something like that. I would take that, to be honest. Uh, Roger McQueen in the first rounder for Panarin. Hashtag blah, blah, playing pretend. This draft class is loaded. Get picks. Oh God, my words. And Bradley Nadeau. Don't know who that is, but I'm sure he's really good. I
Assuming
have
it's a
to
prospect somewhere.
start following college hockey and juniors now that I'm back. Um, 'Cause I've made the mistake in the past few years of not following the draft closely enough. Obviously, Gavin McKenna is a stud, and that guy's going first overall. But I don't know anybody else in this draft class. But I've heard it's amazing.
Let's get there.
Yeah, we have to get there. All right, so let's take this off. Ice Cold Take segment is over. We think Panarin should get traded, and timing wise, probably like around January. Get maximize the value that you could get. Obviously, if the Rangers have cap space, retain half the salary, because if you're not going anywhere, you might as well use that to your advantage. Rangers did that last year, and they were able to get a lot of value back for Lindgren and VZ in that trade to the Avalanche. That was a good trade, I thought. Do something like that again if you're not a contender for the playoffs. If you are, you still might want to trade Panarin. We got to see. We got to see, because if you're not going to extend him, you might as well get something back for him, because that's what you have to look at it like. But again, on paper, I don't see the Rangers being a cup contender this year. Maybe a playoff tweener. That's my like finalized. That's my finalized take on where I just smacked my microphone. My finalized opinion on where the Rangers stand right now on paper. Any
Agreed.
last thoughts? Any last thoughts from you, Phil, before we wrap up the show?
Covered most of it. Let's get some wins this week.
Yeah.
There's something to talk about.
Yeah, that would be nice. And next week, hopefully, we could talk a little bit about the Mets. I know the offseason's kind of kicking into gear here for baseball. Maybe we'll throw in some football. But it's good to be back on High School Takes. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all our socials. I mentioned it earlier. Leave a comment. Like the video if you enjoyed. We will see you guys next week. Take care.